Hey everyone, I hope the lighting is good. This is gonna be a video that I'm really excited about doing and that I've longed to do for so very long. So lately I've been buying so much eyeshadow, I don't even know what to do with myself. So this is gonna be my eyeshadow palette collection for my eyeshadow palette collection, but for my larger palettes, palettes that are like medium size and small size, like my quads and everything, I'm gonna do that in a separate video. But this is gonna be my larger palettes, and then I will also have a separate video for like my top 5 eyeshadow palettes. But if any of these are like absolute favorites, like must-haves, I will point them out. I'm so sad. Yesterday I got my Lorac palette and I just dropped it, and look what happened. So yeah, I'm trying to swatch them now. They seem okay. Just this gray one is like destroyed. So yeah, just a little backstory. When I first started getting into makeup, I really tried to teach. I use YouTube to learn how to do things, and I really tried to teach myself things one step at a time. So when I finally decided that, before I even decided that I wanted to learn how to do eyeshadow, I was just thinking like, I'm not gonna have enough time to do it, like to really get up in the morning and do eyeshadow. I felt like it would have been too much, and then I also felt like it was a little. It looked really hard to do, and I was just like, I don't know if I really want to learn how to do that. It's really too complicated, just really too much for me. And one day I'm just on YouTube looking up like smoky eyes and neutral eyes and all that, and I came across 2 well-known YouTube gurus, Nitra B and Jaclyn Hill. At the time, of course, I didn't know who they were. Jaclyn Hill, I came across one of her smoky eye tutorials. It's one of her most watched YouTube videos. It has like some ungodly amount of views. I came across that video, and I came across Nitra B's page, and those 2 are the ones that really got me into wanting to do eyeshadow. So I literally started out with an eyeshadow palette from that I bought, and I will insert a picture in a second of the palette. And I somehow was like looking up eyeshadow palettes on the computer and came across Target.com, and on their website on clearance they had this e.l.f. Cosmetics something shade geometrical eyeshadow palette, which at the time they just were like for me to practice with. Now looking back on those eyeshadows aren't that good, but to practice with, they're amazing. And I got 2 palettes, and the total was like $13. It was like something really cheap like that, and I used that palette to practice with every day. And now I love eyeshadow. I still have a lot to learn, but I am so proud of how far I've come with eyeshadow. And if you want to practice, get you an e.l.f. palette, or get you a really cheap eyeshadow palette and practice every day. I would practice every day and do 2 different looks on each eye. I was walking around my house looking crazy, but it really fueled not only my love for beauty, but my love for eyeshadow and my love for good quality eyeshadows. So now that long intro is over, let's just get into my favorite large eyeshadow, not my favorite, my eyeshadow palette collection, my large palettes. So we're going to start off with my cheaper palettes, which are my BH Cosmetics palettes. I absolutely love my BH Cosmetics palettes. I absolutely love BH Cosmetics. And I'm just going to go through my BH Cosmetics palettes that I own, starting off with my 26 color palette neutral eyeshadow and blush palette. I don't remember how much I paid for this, and I have a BH Cosmetics haul on my channel. I don't remember if this palette is in that haul, but I absolutely love this palette. Like, I absolutely love this palette. And it's like all neutral shades. Like, they're so pretty, so pigmented. These shadows blend very well. Like, I love this palette. I use this in my get ready with me video. My lid color, I use that champagne colors from this palette. I've used the blushes. I really love this palette. And I don't remember how much it cost, but it wasn't expensive at all. I absolutely love this palette. Like, oh my god. Like, I'm a neutral shade kind of girl. I mainly wear neutral eyeshadow looks, especially since I work so much at work. I tend to lean towards neutral eyeshadows. And this is so pretty. And then it has 2, 4, 5 blushes at the bottom. I love this palette. This palette is literally a must have. If you're starting out, if you've been doing eyeshadow, I highly recommend the BH Cosmetics 26 color neutral eyeshadow and blush palette. I highly recommend this palette. The next 2 palettes are my BH Cosmetics 120 eyeshadow palettes. I really use these to practice with like crazy colors and crazy looks. Yeah, so I have the first edition and the second edition. So I'm just gonna run through these. So they both have like 2 trays in them, and you just pop the top tray out and it goes into the second tray. And this is the first edition, and it has mainly like bright shadows in it. But BH Cosmetics eyeshadows are extremely pigmented, like blend well. These are really great eyeshadows. And on this one, this bottom row, you do have some neutral like browns, golds, and like shimmers. It's a lot of shimmer colors in this palette. But yeah, each edition I guess has like different themes or whatever. But this one is really, really bright. And then the second edition one is still really, really bright, but it does have some more neutral shades than the first one. So like in the top tray, you have like your neutral browns here, and you do have your blacks and silvers here. And then it has all these bright oranges and greens and teals. And then the second tray on this side, you have more of like more neutral shades on this side, and more on the corner there. So I don't really use these for neutral eyeshadow looks. I use these for like more of a pop of color. If I'm like, right now I'm just practicing bright eyeshadow looks, so I use this to practice with. Next up is my Coastal Scents palette, which looks really destroyed, but it's well loved. And this is my Coastal Scents palette. And I made this palette, and each eyeshadow was $1.99 or something like that. And I have these, I have like 16 here. Yeah, 16. And I love these shadows. Like, pigmented. You want to talk pigmentation. These shadows are so pigmented. My absolute favorite shadow, which you guys have seen. I've used this eyeshadow in how many tutorials now? 3. I've used this eyeshadow. And this is their eyeshadow, their matte eyeshadow in Oktoberfest. It's like the perfect, you know when you find that perfect transitional color for yourself? You just love it. And that's how I am with Oktoberfest. It's just a really burnt orange, and it's so pretty. I need another one. Can you see the swatch? It's like this really burnt orange. But yeah, that's Oktoberfest. I use this in so many tutorials, and so that's what it is from Coastal Scents. And I love this palette because they had the little spaces there where you can like pop them out easily, unlike the MAC ones where you kind of got to remove the whole insert, and they're magnetic. So I love this palette. And pigmented, like this one down here, which is peach. One swipe. Off one swipe. Like, these Coastal Scents Hot Pots, they're called, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, they're called Coastal Scents Hot Pots. Look at that. That's off one swipe of the eyeshadow. Like, these are so pigmented, and they're $1.99 each. You kind of, this is a big deal. This palette right here, and it's from BH Cosmetics, and I love this palette. I adore this palette. And it's my BH Cosmetics Special Occasion palette. I'm so sorry, my back hurts really bad. This is my BH Cosmetics Special Occasion palette. This is one of in my top 5. When I do my top 5 eyeshadow palette video, I'm just letting you know this is in there. This is the only eyeshadow palette I'm going to tell you that's in there, but this is in there. I absolutely love this palette. And after I got rid of that e.l.f. palette when I was ready to move on in advance, this is the one I got next. And I got the idea to buy this from Time the Infamous. I paid, I think, $11.95 or something cheap like that. I love this eyeshadow palette. Oh my god, like, add some shadows and you have 9 blushes on the side. I absolutely love this palette. Like, this palette is, that's really weird, it's causing a glare. This palette is everything, like everything. This palette, I've hit pan on a few shadows in this palette. I absolutely love it. I haven't been using it since I got some of these palettes I'm about to show you. Since I got them, I haven't been reaching for it as much, but this palette is going nowhere. It'll forever be in my collection. This is one of the palettes that I highly recommend that you guys at least test out. Even if you've been doing eyeshadow, you just never used it, I really recommend this palette. I love it. It sells out a lot on their website. It's a really great palette. Now we're gonna get into my Too Faced palettes, and I have the Too Faced chocolate bar and I have the chocolate bar semi-sweet. First, we're gonna talk about the chocolate bar, which is what I wore today for this neutral look that I have on right now. This is literally my everyday eyeshadow palette. I absolutely love my chocolate bar, and it smells like chocolate, if you don't know that. I love it. It's well worth the money. I love the shades. They're so pigmented. Like, my favorite shades in here, really. So my favorite shades in my chocolate bar palette is like creme brulee, which is like this one here, creme brulee, hazelnut, what's this one, salted caramel, which I have on my, right now on my lid I have salted caramel, and in my crease I have a little bit of semi-sweet and truffle over here, which is like a really dark brown. I absolutely love this palette. I know everyone has it, it's all over YouTube, but this is one of my everyday palettes. I reach for this palette a lot, like a whole lot. I reach for this eyeshadow palette. It's like almost every day. Then you get into the semi-sweet one, which is like the second edition of the chocolate bar. And it smells like chocolate. Oh. And this palette is like another favorite, like, just some wants to point out is like peanut butter, caramel, bonbon. These, like, I love this palette. Like, look how black licorice is. Look how black that is. Like, it's amazing. Look how black that is. That is one black eyeshadow. I absolutely love these palettes. Like, love with the passion. These Too Faced palettes. I can't wait to see if they're even going to come out with the third one. Of course I'm going to go and buy it. But I absolutely love these palettes, and I got these palettes in late 2014. Now we're going to get into my Naked palettes. I have the Naked 1 and the Naked 3. I really didn't find the Naked 2 appealing, so that's why I don't own it. It could just be me, but I really didn't find the Naked 2 appealing, so that's why I really didn't buy it. So I have the Naked 1, which I really do love this palette, and that's how it looks. And I absolutely really love it. Like, Half Baked, it's a beautiful like champagne gold that's Half Baked. I forgot that it can do that. Oh, and the brush, okay, it comes like a little brush in it. But yeah, Half Baked is so gorgeous. Like, I absolutely love this palette. I will admit, I don't reach for this palette all the time. And the reason being that I just really, I don't always want a shimmery eye. I feel like there's a lot of shimmers in it. I just really have to use this more often. I don't really have an excuse to why I don't reach for it as much. I just really have to use this palette more often. So I'm probably going to use it a lot this coming week to work. I'm just going to play around with it. I have used it, don't get me wrong, but I just don't reach for it as much. I don't know, like, there's no real reason why. But I'm just really going to start reaching for this a lot more often. Then we go into the Naked 3, which I love a lot more than the Naked 1 and 2. And it's just like a bunch of like rosy pinks. And it gets like into like these little dark colors here. Again with the damn brush. Okay. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love this palette as well. It's super pretty. I've used this a lot. I've used this recently, actually. Again, this palette too, I have to use a little bit more often. I just have to use it a little bit more. I have to play around with it. I've seen people on YouTube and Instagram create such great looks with this palette, so I just really feel like I need to play around with this more, because the looks that they're creating are just blowing me away. And I can't, and sometimes I see them, I'm like, that came out the Naked 3. I need to like play around with this a lot more. But I absolutely really like this. I really like both these palettes. I really like them. My next palettes are gonna be my MAC eyeshadows right here. I don't own any MAC eyeshadows that are like in the pots. I only buy the refill pans because I feel like you get the same amount of products just for $10. So yeah, worth it to me. So this palette, if it looks familiar, it's a little beat up, whatevs. If it looks familiar, it's because in my video, my first MAC blush palette, I like popped it in there really quickly, and it only had 2 shadows in it. It had Brown Script and Cranberry. But now it's filled with 15 shadows. I will go through them really quickly. So I have Coppering, Cranberry, Cork, Vanilla, Honestly, Antiqued. I absolutely love Antiqued. Oh my god. Antiqued by MAC is so pretty. It's like this bronze, like light. It has like a light shimmer to it. Like this bronze color is so gorgeous. And after Antiqued, I have Saddle Soft Brown. Soft Brown is an absolute favorite MAC eyeshadow. Like, if it was to ever hit pan, I'm gonna run out and buy another one. Like, I love Soft Brown. Then you have Naked Lunch, All That Glitters. And then down here is Embark, Brown Script, Bamboo. Bamboo is a really beautiful brow highlight color. If you don't want to do like a shimmery brow highlight, you can use Bamboo. It's like a really pretty soft brow highlight shade. I have Brick Red and Carbon. Love my MAC eyeshadows. And then a couple weeks ago, I started a new MAC eyeshadow palette, which has 2 shades in it. And this palette has, what are these shades? Rice Paper and Shroom. So, and these 2 I would use as like brow highlight colors or whatever. I know the glare is like, that's pretty much what they look like. So yeah. I was gonna get into my depressing Lorac palette that like just freaking broke. I just got this palette like yesterday or 2 days, well, by the time this video is uploaded, I would have had it about 2 weeks now. Everyone freaking raves about this palette, like raves, like, oh my god, everything is Lorac Pro palette, Lorac Pro palette, like what the dude. So finally I was like, I'm gonna buy it. And then I found it was only $42. I was like, that's not bad for eyeshadow palette. The freaking These are what, 49 or something like that. And these are what, the same price as those, something crazy like that. But I bought it and I swatched it. These palettes are so creamy. These shadows are so creamy. Oh my god. And pigmented. Oh my god. I love it. I love it. And I'm so mad those are like beat up now. So mad. Anyway, I can't wait to do a look with this, and make sure you guys follow me on my social networks to see what looks I do with my eyeshadow, because I do post them from time to time. I'm gonna start posting them a lot more, but make sure you guys follow me. But yes, I can't wait to do a look with this palette. It goes from like cool tones to warm tones, and then you have like your white, like pink, sable, espresso, gold, champagne. This is my kind of palette. Like, you don't understand. This is really my kind of palette. And I feel like this palette is very versatile. Just like the chocolate bar palette, I feel like it's very, very versatile. You can do a simple eye to like over the top, and I feel like this palette will probably give me that same effect. But then again, I just got it, so I really have to play with this one as well. And my last and final large eyeshadow palette to show you guys is my Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. I have used this palette once since I got it, and I absolutely love it. Love it. I will be doing a review on this palette. I just did a simple neutral eye with it. What did I use? I used, on my lid, I used like this large pink shade, and in my crease I did a mixture of this brown and this like reddish brown shade, and on my brow highlight I used like this really it's like a pinky peachy shade right here, and it came out really, really nice. These are all matte shadows, and they are, I don't know if I mentioned the Lorac Pro palette has some shimmery shadows and some matte shadows. These are all matte shadows. I love it already. These matte shadows are so creamy. They last all freaking day. Your eyeshadow will not budge. And most of the time for a primer, I do use my Urban Decay, or I'll just use my regular matte concealer that I use to like clean up my brows. I use that as my eyeshadow primer, and it works just as well. But I mainly do that for work. If I'm going out, I will use like a regular eyeshadow primer. But I absolutely love this palette. It's so pretty. Like, Kat Von, I love her makeup products. So I will be doing a review on this palette. But that's everything for my eyeshadow palette collection, my large palettes. Please stay tuned for my smaller palette collection, which will include like my Tartelette palette, my Missy Lynn palette, just to name a few, and my top 5 eyeshadow palette, which I will be doing that video as well. So please stay tuned for that. Make sure you guys follow me on my social networks to see the eyeshadow palettes. Make sure you guys follow me on my Make sure you guys follow me on my social networks so that you can see the eyeshadow looks that I do. If you have any requests for videos for me to do, please let me know. Again, I really want to do a Q&A, so make sure you send me those questions. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video.